How are we expecting people to rent when they have to pay first and last month's rent plus a security deposit?
$10 for a drink.
I have never been more stressed out about money in my entire life.
That package of underwear was $42.
One of the signs that people are struggling financially is when you look at their grad.
I don't even know how people live here.
How is it that I have just gotten priced out of a thrift store?
I said, should I expect another huge rent increase? And he's like, yeah, in September.
And here are our monthly bills.
I hope all of y'all are having an amazing day today. So we're going to look at some videos of people who are going through what I call life struggles. And when I say that, I'm talking about the cost of living, which is increasingly getting higher. We can be making more money, but at the same time, if we're not keeping up with inflation, does that really matter? Not really. But before we get into that though, make sure that you guys like, comment, and also subscribe to this channel. We're on the way to 2,000 subscribers. And with that, let's get into these videos.
How are we expecting people to rent when they have to pay first and last month's rent plus a security deposit? I have a family member, he's not on this app, and he is trying to get into an apartment complex, big corporate owned apartment complex here in Tampa. 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 800 square feet, $1,600 a month. They have horrible reviews on Google, not a great part of town, but it's what he can afford right now. And you know, he knows it's a temporary thing. So he asked me if I'd be willing to co-sign on this apartment because this apartment complex is asking for first and last month's rent plus a large security deposit.
It's hard for you to get ahead when you got to provide that much money up front. Now, I will say this about co-signs. Be very careful if you're going to go that route. Me personally, I don't know if I could do it. I've heard too many stories. I've seen too many growing up. We have people who ain't really got it like that, but they're trying to get something. And then one way or another, somebody gets burned. I've seen it too many times. So look, my PTSD might kick in. I can't do it personally. However, if you got a family member that you trust that much and you want to do it, just know it could potentially burn you. But let's keep rocking.
I said, no problem. I'd rather you take that money that you would normally have to apply towards the application process to get moved in and instead focus on like buying yourself groceries when you get moved in and having the funds to set up your utilities and all the things. And I went ahead and submitted all the documents that they asked of me, which was 3 months worth of bank statements, our 2023 tax return, as well as copies of contracts and payments made from my clients because I'm a 1099 employee, to show them that basically if for some reason he weren't able to pay his rent, it would default to me, and including my social security number, so they'd come after me. No problem. I trust this family member wholeheartedly and have no issue doing that. So I submitted all those documents and they called him today. And yes, they are still asking for first and last month's rent and they are still requesting a security deposit. They lowered it. But let me just set the stage here. $1,600 a month is the rent. I provided them documentation to show that one of my clients, just one client that pays me in a month, would cover over 12 months of his rent. And
congratulations. I don't know what day. It almost sounds like a situation that he'd probably be better off staying with you. I'd save some money. Nah. Everybody's lifestyle different, and you ain't trying to impose or overstay your welcome with people like that. But at the same time, you know, the barrier of entry for just renting now is crazy. I didn't have to deal with that when we rented in Memphis. It wasn't the same. We put down just 1 month and then a $500 security deposit, and that was it. Took us a minute to get half of that back because they went in and said this, half of it. I don't even want to talk about that today, but just know you may or may not get that security deposit back 100% depending on, you know, who was over that apartment. And they got bad reviews, so you'd be good to get $20 back. But let's keep going.
I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying this because this is the level of absurdity we have reached. You have someone that's co-signing to ensure that that apartment is paid for, that has proof, documentation, proof of funds to show that just one of my payments from one of my clients in a month that I provided a contract to show
that's good
would cover his rent for the entire year. And yet that's not good enough to waive a security deposit or still make him pay first and last month's rent. What are we doing? Like, why are we making Gen Z like not be able to have a place to live. This is absurd. Like, I don't understand why somebody needs to be making over $1 million to show that you could waive the security deposit and not make them pay last month's rent. Like, I essentially showed them collectively that my husband and I make, I'm not going to say how much it is, but it's absurd. Because if he doesn't have a cosigner, like, how do people move into those places then? I don't get it. I don't understand what we're doing to this generation. Then I see a news report that mortgage rates are climbing back up again, 5-month high, 6.85%. I ain't buying in that market unless I can pay cash. So we rent. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that for us. But I'm also 20 years older. Like, and I've already lived, I don't, like, this is stupid at this point. I guess, what is that generation supposed to do if you don't have somebody co-signing for you? How do you expect them to come up with that type of cash for $1,600 a month rent? I don't understand what we're doing here.
Renting almost is like you having to save a smaller percentage of a down payment for a house in certain places. But it's crazy to me how much of the swing of state to state or location per location can be. It can be so different. I could talk to somebody and they could stay in Louisiana. It'll be completely different than whoever is staying in California. It's insanely different. A lot of people's entire lives and entire families are in that spot. You don't want to just dip out. You see, some people are doing that. Some people like it. Some people hate it. But at the end of the day, now you can't even get into the things that I used to think were, not as much of a commitment. Renting was supposed to be something I used to think. You start out renting, you save up enough, and then you go buy a house. But it costs you the same amount to rent that spot as it would if you had a mortgage. Now, you don't have to fix things. But sometimes if you're renting somewhere with bad reviews like this, they may not fix things anyway.
Explain to you guys how much more expensive things are today than they were even 3 years ago based off of my current financial situation. So 4 years ago, when I graduated law school, I graduated making $65,000 a year. I was living in a 1-bedroom by myself, paying $1,400 a month. After the first 3 months, my boyfriend moved in, and so then we were splitting it, so it was $700 apiece. But he lost his job at one point, and so for 3 months before he got a new one, I was covering the rent all by myself. So it was about 6 months of me paying $1,400 a month for that year-long lease. Now I make about $85,000 a year. I have 2 roommates, and we split the rent 3 ways. And usually my rent is like $950, something around that. So I'm making technically $20,000 more a year. I'm paying roughly the same of what I was paying in rent. And I have never been more stressed out about money in my entire life.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. At first, you were able to live alone, no problem, and you weren't as stressed out. But now you have to have a roommate or 2 in this situation. And so with that being said, what that does is gives you a sense of, how can I put it? It gives you a little bit less control because you essentially are relying on your roommates to uphold their end. You're not able to financially support yourself solo. On top of that, you have the other things such as food, bills, groceries, whatever it is that you have to pay on your own. So you add all that up together, it leads to a lot more stress.
I live on the West Coast. I have a question for you, and my question is real simple. Are y'all okay? Because your cost of living is like literally dystopian. And I'm from here. We moved away. Grew up in Southern Oregon, Northern California, and I'm aware that like our cost of living has always been a little bit higher than other places, especially fuel. But I'm telling you right now, your cost of living is literally diabolical. There were some places that I was in Northern California, fuel was well over $5 a gallon, just regular schmegular gas, well over $5 a gallon. In Texas, where I'm at, it fluctuates all the time, but it fluctuates between about $2.40 a gallon and like $2.90. That's the fluctuation. You're paying double what we're paying. Not only that, it's not just fuel. I went to Starbucks. My Starbucks drink, it's very simple. It's a venti vanilla chai latte. In Texas, where I'm from, it's $7, which in my opinion is too expensive. I don't get it very often. Here, it was over $10 for a drink.
I was looking it up while she was talking, and in the good old state of Alabama, we can get gas for around $2.40. I think that's all right. Now, I'm going to say this about Starbucks. Overrated. Now, let me move on to the main point. When you stay in places like Cali, Oregon, West Coast places, just know you're going to be charged a certain tax. I don't understand the appeal, never will. Now, I get it, though. There is great weather all the time, but there are high prices all the time. Look, if you're not from there, you just move there. I think it's time for you to consider moving somewhere else.
I need somebody to tell me why my husband went to purchase a 7-pack of underwear yesterday. He needs new underwear. Probably hasn't purchased them in like, I don't know, years. You know how it is. Tell me why that package of underwear was $42. $42. I was flabbergasted. $42 for 7 pairs of underwear. If I didn't believe before that inflation is real, I sure do now. I'm baffled.
$40-some on a pair of drawers. What kind of drawers he buying? They made of gold. He better go to Walmart and get some Hanes.
One of the signs that people are struggling financially is when you look at their grass. So I just came outside for a split second because I wanted to get something to eat. And as I was pulling out of my garage, looking at my tattered lawn, or rather trying to ignore the weed-filled space in the front of my house because it's far from a lawn at this point, I started noticing that some of the neighbors that I have had for years that cared for their grass, or that continue to care for their grass, that grass looked like my grass. And what's interesting to me is, side note, my grass look like that because I'm thinking about buying a lawnmower, but I don't know how to buy a lawnmower, and I've been doing research. I don't know how much lawnmowers are supposed to cost, but I think it'll be cheaper to just buy a lawnmower than to spend $70 every 2 weeks for somebody to come cut my grass. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, moving on. Oh, side note, if you are wanting to be a homeowner, fun fact, God doesn't grow grass. Apparently God grows weeds, and you gotta pay somebody to come kill the weeds, and then you gotta pay somebody to grow grass. So that's something you have to look forward to. But anyway, so I'm noticing that there's several different lawns that look similar to mine, and it's a small thing, but it's a noticeable thing because I do live in a neighborhood where we have an HOA, and people do care a lot about the exterior maintenance of their home. So I just say that to say, like, cracks are showing, and it's showing in really small ways. And it is going to be important for everybody to be kind. Be kind to your neighbors. Be kind to people that you don't know, because people are going through it.
Now, this right here is especially true in the South, where a lot of people love their grass. You want to cut it every time that you get a chance to. Now, I will say, a lot of people take personal pride in it because they can get out there and cut it themselves. But also, you have people who pay other people to go out and do it. We talking about people who are a little bit older, women who don't want to get out there and do it, men who are too busy to do it, okay? And so, with that comes the fact that you at least try to make it look good. Now, I know some people don't give a damn about that, yo. They got old cars running everywhere. They got things in places that don't need to be. All right, that happened. It was me one of these times ago, but it ain't me no more. I have done better with my life. But I will say this. When you look at the grass and it's up like that, they probably ain't got the funds to go get that gas, put in there more and run it, or they just ain't got no more at all. A lot of people see buying a lawnmower as a hassle. You need a truck to get it from one place to the other, aka from Lowe's to your house, if they're not going to drop it by for you. There's different things that go into, actually getting into that. Now, I will say the easiest way to get all of this done, get you an electric push mower. That thing will push a little bit for you. A lot of those do that now, and it's just more convenient. You can probably get a way to put that push mower. A lot of times they may come in a big old box. You can put it in your car. That's assuming that you don't have more than like maybe an acre. Even an acre is kind of stretching it. All right, you're kind of stretching. I got a homeboy. He did it. He said he was out there sweating. Now, it ain't hot yet. I'ma love to see him get out there and do that when they get hot. But she's right, you know, especially in the South, people love their grass, man. And I want to say this: don't get a HOA, man. Don't do it if you can help it. Don't do it.
Can someone tell me why LA is so fucking out of touch?
Another West Coast video. Let's go.
My boyfriend and I are trying to move. Our cap is $5,000, which is basically a mortgage payment. I don't even know if I want to own a home. I would just like a little bit extra room. If we find something that we like, it's in a really shitty part of the neighborhood, or if we do find something that we're like, oh, okay, this is in our price range, which by the way, $5,000 is a lot of money to pay to rent something that you don't even own. And then we find something and then it doesn't have a yard for my dog, or it doesn't have a garage. And it's like, these are like, everybody should have a yard. Everybody should have a garage. And you want me to pay $6,500 for something that doesn't have black mold in it? I mean, LA is just like, I don't even know how people live here. It's insane.
I want to say this, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but the problem with staying in bigger cities is the fact that you have these places that, you know, are trying to squeeze in as much home as they can on small lots. And so what does that do? Takes away from the possibilities of that lot. You mean to tell me you can't find nowhere in Cali for that amount of money for your dog to release himself? That's a problem. That's a problem. But that's what happens. You have big places where a lot of people are. You're trying to get as many people in as you can, but you're not thinking about the small things. Case in point, big budget, can't even get what you want from it.
Serious question. How are people affording anything in 2025? I'm having surgery in 2 weeks on my neck, so I was told to get certain types of shirts so it wouldn't bother the area. I go to Goodwill. I'm looking at prices, $9.99 for used shirts that are of no brand of value at all anywhere. Like maybe it was Target, I don't even know. I probably could go to Target and get it for like brand new for the same price at this point. I don't know. But seriously, how is it that I have just gotten priced out of a thrift store? Not only that, I cannot remember the last time I actually went out and had a meal in a restaurant. We do not order out. We don't even get pizza because we're trying to save everything for 2025 with all of my health stuff. I am so sick of my own fucking cooking. You have no idea. I'm a bad cook. And I am so freaking tired of my own food. But how do people afford to go to a restaurant, sit down, and have a meal? Like, that is a foreign concept to me at this point. And I can't remember the last time I went and saw a movie in a theater. I can't even afford to rent them on demand. I will show you what I do. This is what I do. I have an enormous DVD collection. And this is all I can afford, because I will get these at the thrift stores. Cheap as shit. To be honest with you, I feel like I'm 20 years old again, and I'm living pennies to pennies and can't afford dick anymore.
All right, first of all, you ain't missing nothing in the movies. It ain't, the experience is just not the same. Ever since COVID hit, we started to realize that going to the movie theaters is not better than sitting in your living room with your feet propped up on the coffee table with a good amount of popcorn that you didn't pay $12 a bag for a small, $20 for a large. I'm telling you, what's up with that? And you paying for your Sprite probably about this tall. That's another $15. It ain't that much, but it's still high as hell and it shouldn't be. Way too much. You want a box of candy, it's $5. I could have got it for $1.25 from the Dollar Tree. Also, to be priced out of Goodwill is crazy. Now, for a situation like hers, in a health crisis, in a health need, when you need something done, I do truly feel bad for people like this, because a lot of times you cannot account for these things popping up. And the way the insurance is, people say, oh, well, why you didn't have insurance? Look, insurance does not pay for things the way that it should, the way that people think it will. And so a lot of times that leaves you with big bills, all right? And we see this from a lot of people all the time. Now, it just sounds like even before this, though, they were struggling. I would love to know more. At the end of the day, all we do, pray your surgery goes well.
I moved into my apartment in June 2023. I was paying $1,790 in rent. I just got notified that March 1st, my rent will be increasing to $2,023. And before everyone gets in the comments and says, you're doing this, you're making your choices. Okay, first of all, fuck you. I have a 2-bedroom apartment, because I have a 1.5-year-old son, and I got this apartment because I researched every apartment within a 30-mile radius of where my dad lives, because my dad lives with my nephew. I'm the legal guardian of my nephew, and I need to be able to have quick, close access to my nephew. I take him to appointments, I pick him up from school, etc. What's shitty is that this is the market rate. So this is pretty standard if you want a 2-bedroom apartment. And mine's nice because it's new, but it's not fancy. It was made really, like everything's plastic and falling apart. And it, for all intents and purposes, it's not a quality apartment. It's safe. I love living here, and that's why I'm living here. But I was talking to my landlord, and I was like, listen, I know this isn't your fault. I know you're not setting the prices of these, but what the fuck? This is not like a sustainable, like, how the fuck is anyone supposed to, like, maintain their tenancy? I said, should I expect another huge rent increase? And he's like, yeah, in September, there's going to be another like $80 to $120 rent increase. And I'm like, so let me get this fucking straight. I had to pay $5,500 to just get into this fucking apartment. I could live in.
That's kind of like the girl who was trying to help her, the lady who was trying to help her, I think, I don't know how they were related, but earlier in the video, where you got to pay first and last month rent. I'm assuming that's what happened here. So it's crazy, man. You got to pay a lot of money just to get in. And then they're going to tax you over your head when they continue to increase those rates. But let's keep rocking.
In a 1-bedroom, I don't want to, because I just figured out crib training with my son. I pay electric and I pay fucking gas, which is another, you know, 100 to 120 a month, like on top of that. I hate that the issue is that I'm at a point in my life where paying another $120 a month in rent is like pissing me off. I know that the solution is to just make more money so that this is gonna happen and I'm gonna have more wiggle room in my budget and blah, blah, blah. But what pisses me off is if you're not making $6,000 or $8,000 as a single mom a month, you're just like, how are you gonna make it? Who wants to be roommates with people that they don't know? And how many people do you know that you could trust to live with and that it wouldn't ruin your friendship if you lived with them? And what if I just want to live in my own fucking spot?
I've seen so many relationships ruined when people decide to room together. They've been friends for years, and then sometimes it don't even matter. Some go left, and a lot of times it's females. I'm keep it a buck. It's a different type of space. Guys can be a little bit more laid back, but you have two girls that are clean, one ain't, or you know, one she a little shaky. It don't matter. Guys are generally a lot more lenient towards certain things when it comes to that. You let me know if I'm wrong, though.
What if I really like the peace of mind that I have in my own goddamn apartment? Why isn't there some sort of fucking clause that says, oh, you're a single mom with narcolepsy and you have a fucking disability and you're making X amount of money and we're gonna give you like a little bit of a break. And I understand like life is a jungle and no one's trying to give out handouts. You know, you're hearing about how Elon Musk just uncovered all the government fucking all the money that's going everywhere. Like the government isn't, in general, they're not looking to help people. We know that. We just keep coming back to like, okay, the solution is just to make more money, but there's only so many fucking hours in the day. I spent 45 minutes today researching other apartments in the area. I maybe have a tour scheduled next week, but here's the thing, it's like, yeah, if I get into this other apartment, like what is that gonna look like and how much do I have to put down? It's usually first and last month's rent, and then there's a damage deposit, and then there's usually a refundable pet deposit on top of that of a couple $100 or and then you know, like at least, and then a monthly pet deposit. And I have 2 cats and I don't want to get rid of my cat. I'm not making this video to be like, oh, poor me, like blah, blah. But where my brain goes is I zoom out and I think about the bigger picture, and I think about like the regular people who are just trying to fucking survive, and like the average income and like what it cost to just literally survive. That's not like getting ahead. That's not saving money. That's not potentially owning a piece of property. That's literally just like, I'm making it until the next month. What is there, like 800,000 homeless people in the US? And when you think about like a homeless person, your mind might go to like all these extremes, but it's like, no, people become homeless because there's factors that are outside of their control, and they're doing their fucking best, and they get up every day and they have good intentions and they work, and they're not like selling themselves on OnlyFans and they're trying to like do good in the world. But fucking bills are massive, man. It's expensive as fuck to just live and eat.
It is expensive to live and eat. I will say, I'm gonna say something controversial. I'm gonna just talk about one point that she talked about. Even though she talked about a lot, I feel like we covered a little bit, as we have seen people with rent issues, like the one lady, she had like 2 other roommates after being like able to afford a solo apartment for so long. So we touched on that kind of already. I'm gonna say something controversial. We're gonna move on to the next video. This is me. If you're struggling financially, I don't think you should own pets. I don't think you should own pets. I think it's somebody out there who probably could take care of that pet better than you. And I understand if you were to take care of that pet and something happened, something changed, I understand that. I'm not talking about that. If you had your pets while you were making a lot of money and then something happened, so you got fired, I don't think you should just, get rid of your pet then. I'm talking to the people who know they struggling financially, but then decide that they want to go and get a cat or a dog or something like that. You know you ain't had no money for yourself, and now you want to go grab an animal. Let somebody who got the money take care of that pet, because they can do a lot for it that you cannot. That's just my opinion. Some people may disagree with that, but that's just me.
With the cost of living being so high, millennials get a lot of crap for overspending. So I figured, being a millennial 35 and my wife being 35, I wanted to go over what our bills are, and you can let me know if we're overspending or if we're kind of right in the pocket. So my wife and I have no kids. We are homeowners here in Orlando, Florida, and here are our monthly bills. So the most expensive is our house. So it's $3,300 a month. That includes the principal, interest, property taxes, electricity, internet, everything house, $3,300. Next on the list is going to be kind of surprising to some, but we spend $1,200 a month on groceries. And I broke this down in another video. We spend about $90 every 3 days. And then we also would get paper towels, dog food, soaps, things like that throughout the month. And it equals about $1,200. Next, we lease
$1,200 to both of you? Oh my goodness. I don't have pets. We just talked about pets, ironically enough. Me and my wife, we spend about $400 in groceries a month. But this is me taking out things like tissue and paper towels, stuff like that. Cleaning products is not included in that $400. That might be maybe another $50 or something like that, because we know we love to run through our paper towels, and I'm working on this. We the type of household, we use paper plates for everything. Paper, it don't matter, and plastic forks, knives, and spoons. I don't wash no dishes, man. But the more I, get in tune with this financial stuff, I'm starting to realize maybe I should just buy some plates that I can reuse, wash, and stop being so lazy. Will I succeed in that journey? I'm trying. That's all I can say right now, okay? But that's a lot of money for them, in my personal opinion. Now, Orlando, maybe grocery price a little different than Alabama. But, man, that seems like a lot of money. Am I tripping? Let's keep rocking.
2 cars. They're both new Volkswagen.
2 new cars. What do y'all do for a living? My transmission just went out of my car, and I got it fixed for the low I knew a guy. You know what I'm saying? They charged me $7,000. We're going to try to charge me $7,000 at this transmission spot. I was like, nah, we're going to find somewhere else. And I'm getting the whole job done for about 35, 6, somewhere around that range, like 35 in a little bit. But I didn't mean to pause so fast, but he got me with new cars, 2 new cars, and a Volkswagen. Oh, Jesus.
2023, and the total payment for both of them combined is $850 a month, which I don't think is too shabby. I think we got a great deal.
Okay.
We've next on the list is $574, which is the accumulation of debt payments, and then $350. I guess we put as personal.
I gotta keep pausing. What you mean by debts? You talking about credit card debts? Please tell me it's not that. I'm hoping this is student loan, maybe, because he said house, so that's not the mortgage. Please, I would take student loans, because it seems like y'all financially doing fine. If you can afford that 3300, if you can afford that number, that tells me y'all probably more than likely doing fine. If you're affording all this, y'all doing pretty good right now. So I'm assuming those are student loans and not credit cards, because those are credit cards. That's you being irresponsible now. That's worse than the cars, in my opinion, because at least you whipping around in the car, even though it's a depreciating asset. You at least enjoying them. You ain't enjoying no credit card debt.
Hair, my wife's hair, eyebrows, my haircut, nails, things like that's about $350. Next on the list is $200 for car insurance for both the cars. Also $200 is our Maltese Shih Tzu. He's 15 years old, so we give him medicine, and he also gets groomed, and that's $200 a month.
Okay.
Our cell phones combined are $173. Our gas is $150 a month, and then our internet services are $80. So that's Netflix, Zoom, Dropbox, and a couple other things is $80. So that totals about $7.
That's actually the most impressive number I've seen. The $80 for internet, Netflix, and streaming services and stuff. That's actually pretty impressive. I could commend you for that one, but this is way too much money right now. Way too high. Way too much money in general. The reason I say that is because I think your grocery bill is kind of crazy now. If y'all got the money and y'all one of those, families who are like, look, we gonna go all grass fed, we going organic this. If that's why that's so high, I'm not even gonna be mad at you. If you got the money and you can stay on top of your health like that, I ain't mad at you at all. When you can spend it and you ain't worried about it, do it. But the cars, I've never been big on having a car payment. I don't know how good Volkswagens are, but around here where I'm from, you rarely see those anywhere. People are getting rid of their Volkswagens. I don't know. Y'all let me know. Maybe I'm tripping. Debts, that may be credit card debt. I hope it isn't. I'm hoping that's like a student loan or something, please. And the phone, I'm not going to be too mad at you about the phone. Y'all probably got new phones maybe. But what I will say is that might just be like just your plan, because new plans are ridiculous once you get out of having they give you bonuses and stuff for becoming a new customer. After you get out of that period, unless you're like on a good family plan from way back in the day, these cell phone plans are ridiculous. Some people like having solo plans, they paying $100 a month. Phone plans are stupid high. Gas, that's probably about right, and that service. The further you get down, the better it looks. Of course, the higher number that house, depending on how much house you get, and if you just bought your house, that's probably about accurate. If you got a nice size house, 3300, I would love to know the square footage of the house. If y'all got a pretty decent size house, you paying that much, not gonna be mad at it. Do you need that much, or do you have too much house? We can nitpick those things, of course, but not gonna do that. Where I will say I'm kind of looking at you a little bit funny, think you're overspending. It's that grocery bill. If it's not all healthy type food, because I'm not gonna put a price on health. If you can afford it, everybody should be able to afford this, though, right? Right? Nah, we stay in America, anyways. So the cars, the debts, I'm gonna be on you about that. That's crazy. That's too high. $850 between the both of you. I guess if you, no man, no. I don't think new cars are worth it. That's just me though. I'm not Dave Ramsey. I don't think you should drive a beater, but I don't think you should buy brand new either. You know what I'm saying? Let somebody else run that mug a little bit, and then you hop in it once all the recalls been gone. That's just me. Y'all may disagree with that though. Let me know what y'all think about the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and until next time, guys, let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next one.